I have the same conversation with agents every day. When we talk about leads, we're talking about time and money. And if you don't have money, then you have time. You should have time. That means you have to grind to get the money, to get more qualified leads, to get the time. So if you are someone who's listening to this and you don't feel like you have a lot of resources and maybe this isn't for you, that may not necessarily be true.
Yeah.
Because there should be opportunity here. It's if you're willing to work for it. That's the most important part of this. The cost on this conversation at this point is time. Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Life Insurance Academy. Zach and I are hanging out today, and you know, Zach, we've had a couple of people who say we joke around too much. So this episode, there will be no smiles,
none.
And okay, I lost on that one. So yes, there will be limited jokes. We do have a lot of great stuff for you. If you guys don't know this already, Zach is a walking computer, and our topic today is the true cost of getting started in insurance sales for independent agents, the true cost. So I'm going to prove to you that Zach is a walking computer, okay? Zach, what is 7,652 divided by 12?
Stop.
Correct answer. Adam's going to put that in there, the correct answer. Thank you, Adam.
Just put my voice and make it sound there. No,
17,000.
I'm excited about this topic, Chris, because honestly, we are 100 and how many episodes, Adam? 164 episodes in, and we've never had one episode that literally talks about what it costs to get started in the life insurance industry.
For independent sales.
For independent sales. This could be any agent that is working at a captive agency, or it could be a State Farm or an Allstate or something, and they've learned under the agent that owns the building or owns that franchise, and now they're looking to go on their own. Or this could be somebody coming out of college like I did, looking to jump into the industry. And, okay, what does it mean to be a broker? You're in business for yourself. How does this work? What IMO am I going with? How do I get started?
Or changing careers.
Or you could be a Medicare agent for years, and now you're going to go learn, okay, how do I need to get started on the life insurance side?
Yeah.
So this topic is long overdue. I think it's very exciting. I think it will get a lot of views and a lot of listens, because there are so many people that can actually use this podcast to if they're building their company or their team.
It's a roadmap.
It is a roadmap for setting expectations of how to get rolling and what they can anticipate. Because the one thing that we don't like, Chris, is, and we see this all the time, when new agents come and join and they're not prepared to join. And
well, I will say this. I think part of it is there's a lot of hype, and they see the big numbers, and they think it comes easy, or they think it comes quickly with limited investments. So, boom, they're ready to go. Where's the money, Zach?
6 figures in 6 days. That's our next podcast. So
yeah, that is the next one, right?
Exactly. But essentially, this is what we really wanted to talk about. And the first thing is simple, Chris. Like, no matter where you come from, no matter what business you're in, looking at this life insurance industry, if you've listened to this for 164 episodes thus far and you haven't jumped in, then we're probably really bad at this. But if not, you have to get your license.
Yes, you do. You have to get your license. And I wish it were that easy just to say get your license. But these are regulated plans that are regulated by each state. Each state has their own regulations. But the one thing that is common is you have to pass a pre-licensing course to actually sit with the state and take your test.
Dude, how boring is that?
Dude, I'll tell you what, it is. There's not a fun, exciting moment in doing your pre-licensing course.
Oh, man.
There's not.
I know. I remember.
It's 24 credit hours.
Yeah, exactly. So to be clear, you could do this in classroom. A lot of states have an option to where if you there's usually if you check with your state's Department of Insurance, there's an option to do it in class. Yeah. They're usually only offered a few times a month, but the most convenient option is to do one that's online, as Chris was talking about. And we actually have a discount for all of our listeners that you're able to go on there and actually receive $100 off. One of our partner groups is Excel Solutions. They do pre-licensing in all 50 states.
Yes, for both life and health.
For both life and health.
And it's the same cost. So if I were you, I would go ahead and take both of those because you never know. You may be in a position to be able to cross-sell some Medicare items, things like that.
Absolutely. So the normal cost on life and health, and I believe it doesn't matter what state you're in, is $199.
Correct.
And if you use the code LIA, if you use the code LIA, it knocks off $100 and only makes it $99.
Boom. But it's not LIA boom. It's just LIA.
I'm glad you cleared that up.
The boom is us celebrating the discount for you, the listener.
That's exactly right. So what's the next step? You go to the pre-license, you go through that. It's the most exciting course you've ever seen in your life. You're doing it literally while you're eating dinner because you can't put it down. It's like that brand new Netflix series. It's your future. You're getting rolling. The next thing you need to do is you need to schedule your actual test. When there's a state application fee, there's a background check.
That's a good point.
All that's wrapped in there. So that's generally going to cost you anywhere, depending on the state. I know here in Kentucky, I think it's...
I think it's 50 plus 25 for a background.
Yeah, something like that. But you're depending on where you are, you're going to be expecting to pay about $50 to $300 for application fees and everything there. So the whole pre-licensing before you get your license stage, the pre-licensing court application fees, it could cost you somewhere in the neighborhood of $150 to $400.
Yeah, that sounds about right. And just a tip for you listeners: once you pass your pre-licensing, you'll want to get in touch with your state's Department of Insurance to schedule your test, because a lot of people get confused. You can actually Google Department of Insurance for your state. So Department of Insurance, Kentucky, Massachusetts, whatever your state is, just search that. That'll give you a direct link, and that's where you will schedule it.
Absolutely.
That's a $9 tip, gang. $9,
but
don't put that on the list.
So you pass your test, you're ready to go. Now, a lot of people assume that that's the only expense that they have and they're ready to go, right? So we're going to walk through some things that you may need when you're getting involved. The next step is really selecting your niche of life insurance that you want to get involved in. And when I say niche here, Chris, I'm talking about, are you wanting to go the telesales route, where you're kind of staying at home, you're calling different types of insurance through the phone all the time, or are you wanting to more the face-to-face, or some old school people call it belly-to-belly?
Belly-to-belly.
Get belly-to-belly. And what you're going to need for either is going to be slightly different, right?
Yeah.
When it goes down the face-to-face route, this was the route that you and I started on back in the day. And these are some things that really helped us and helped make us successful in the field for various reasons. One is we had an ID lanyard badge with our company name on it. This just made the agent as us feel more confident, but it also made the client, the proposed prospect that we are going to see, it made them more comfortable as well, because it had our state license number, had a photo ID on them. It just made us let them know that we're legit, that we know what we're doing. We're actually licensed, approved to do this.
Yeah.
And then we're going to serve them.
Yeah. And I think that's an important piece, that
it is,
that you have these additional items that build your confidence and, well, that show credibility, even though you may not have any quite yet. You just passed the test, but it shows you have the backing of an organization, and even better, the state has put their seal of approval on you to advise people. So
absolutely,
you may think, well, hey, I'm just going to do this without it. Why make it harder? For yourself? It's not necessary.
I'll tell you what, I'm not 100% sure if we have that on our Life Insurance Academy store, but if we don't, I will put one on there. So if it's not
the opportunity for them to do that, is that what you're saying?
To buy a lanyard badge.
Yeah.
Yeah,
okay, cool.
yeah. I'm gonna design one and put it on the store. So if you don't have one, you can utilize that. There will be one on there. They generally cost between I think $8 to $10, somewhere like that. So they're really easy. And heck, I used mine for years.
Yes.
I wore that bad boy out.
Yeah, yeah.
The next thing you want is a set of delivery notices. I call them setting traps. This is because what you do. We have a whole strategy on how to use those. That will be in another podcast. But they're delivery notices that you put on the door. So when you're knocking and someone isn't home, you want to let them know that you attempted, that you tried to be there. When they call back, then you know that they are home.
Yep.
So that comes in the set and trap portion of that. One thing that I had, those generally going to run you $15. We do have those in the LA stores.
Packs.
Yeah, you get a 4-pack set. You'll use those probably all year. Only $15. We do have those here. One thing I always used personally was, and some people just like the paper, I like the clipboard. I got a plastic clipboard that opened up in the middle. Got it off Amazon. I think it was around $10. I put some scripts inside of it. I put my delivery notes inside of it. I had all my leads printed out, sitting on top with the next one I was going to go to. It kept it very efficient, and it made me look official. If you come into my door with a clipboard, I'm probably going to have a conversation with you. Yeah. But that's just my style there. The next thing we have is a branded polo.
It helps. It builds, again, these are confidence pieces. It makes you look sharp. You look professional.
I think that matters.
I do too.
And I'll brag on Chris here for a little bit, because a lot of you listeners don't know how good of a guy he really is. But we've had brand new agents start with us that had the drive and the ambition and the desire to be successful. And they've had different challenges in their life, which we've all had. And Chris has literally went out and bought clothes, belts, shoes, and gave branded polos to some agents to get them started, because we are building trust in these homes. We are making a difference, and we believe we're in the people business.
Yes.
And Chris is one of the absolute best at that.
Those nice things, Zach.
But going out there, and believe it or not, guys, what you look like, present matters. And I think my philosophy is always to match your market.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I think that's good. I also think it you may not be aware of it, but it is affecting how you feel.
It does.
Yeah, so you may be questioning yourself going to the door. So do what you can. Just look clean and sharp, and even there, if you have to go get some nice, if you're just getting started, you're on a budget, get some nice button-ups, something.
You can go to Target, pick up a couple plain ones,
Yeah.
throw your ID land
that's
badge,
fine.
and go on.
You'll look clean.
Perfect. One thing that really helped me, I'm a huge fan on, and I know it's on our YouTube channel, talking about the piece of technology that can make you a ton of money, which is a Garmin GPS to be efficient and route your leads. That is very important. They're generally going to run, you can buy them used for around $100 or up to $200. However fancy you want to get with it. I think nowadays they probably pour you a Diet Coke as you're cruising down the road.
Maybe.
They do a little bit of everything, but a Garmin GPS, having the tools that can save you time, be more efficient, means more time sitting with families and making more money.
And there are now apps that actually will help with that as well.
Correct.
I believe there's one called Road Warrior,
Mm-hmm.
and you can put in your route there, and it will determine the best way to go. That's the great thing about Garmin, and you can look it up.
I think there's one through Google, but I can't remember the name of it.
Okay, I'm not familiar with it.
Yeah. There's also something that we would recommend, and this is a way to track your mileage, because being as a 1099 agent, a lot of people don't know, they're not taught, they're not aware. But if you are doing face-to-face and you're driving to homes, tracking the mileage is very important. I always used Mile IQ. I think it was like $60 a year. Correct. You can literally set it up with your work hours, your schedule, and it can track the mileage in the background, where you started, where you went. It has a printout visual map of it, the amount it's worth, and tax write-offs. It's up to date.
It's pretty cool.
It is tip-top shape. Yeah. You can also do that through QuickBooks as well. Like I said, these are going to typically cost you between $60 and $100 a year.
So these are just the start to getting to the business, and these are real costs, and that's why we wanted to share this with agents. But what is our tally there, or our total on the ballpark on the face-to-face side of it?
Yeah, I didn't calculate that up, but I believe in order to up to this point, because the last thing I had on here was the different presentations and resource materials.
Right, correct.
So you want to invest in in the presentation materials or underwriting materials, or the things that are going to make your life a little bit easier. Because trust me, presenting off of a carrier brochure and calculating premiums through the back of their user guide or their producer guide is probably not fun. So these things will actually save you money in the long run. But if we're looking at pre-licensing, the applications fees, getting your license, and then just, I would say, preparing you for business. And these were the things like the badge, the delivery notices, clipboard, branded polos, GPS, tracking, Mile IQ apps. Presentation materials, we're roughly around $600.
Yes, and we do. Okay, so we're at 600, and then we had on the front side, depending on the state that you're getting licensed in, 150 to 400. Was it 300, 350 for licensing? We'll say 350.
Yeah.
So about 950 just to get rolling and getting started here. I will say just
No,
for a reminder-
that included the state licenses.
Oh, good. Okay, so a total
Yeah.
of 600
Yeah.
at this point. Okay,
Yep.
great. So 600, and just as a reminder, we do have presentations available through Life Insurance Academy and also underwriting guides that you can check out at lifeinsuranceacademy.org to check those things out and pick it up.
Absolutely.
It will help you sell more, I promise you.
Now, let's do the other side of the coin.
Okay. The telesales.
Yeah, telesales. So the actual cost is going to be slightly different when you're looking at telesales. The things you need, obviously, you don't need a badge, you don't need delivery notices.
You can wear one if you want.
Branded
It'd be
polo,
weird.
yeah. I mean, look good, feel good, sell good, right? But on the telesale side, you need a phone, of course. Now, if you use your personal phone, it's not costing you any additional expense, so it's pretty much free. Some people actually like to get a separate phone and only use that for insurance. And if you're looking at adding on a plan, it's probably going to cost you $50-$60 a month to add it on a plan.
And there's technology, Zach. You can get the Burner app. The Burner app, I think you can pay $300 for the year and you get 10 interchangeable phone numbers. And if you are getting started in telesales and you're like, man, I don't have some of these other things that you're going to get to, don't put it off because you don't have those resources.
Right.
You just get the Burner app on your phone and start making phone calls. So
Yeah, prank call your mom, right?
Yes.
Yeah. The CRM. A CRM is going to be very important when it comes to telesales to keep things organized because, and we'll get into this here in a minute, but the sheer volume of leads, can you imagine having 200 pieces of paper printed out on a folding table in your kitchen? Trying like, holy mackerel.
There are a lot of leads are delivered, through a Google Sheet, but even that can be tricky to track or manage. So yeah, having a CRM is more helpful for sure.
So CRMs, there have basic versions that could be free that you're able to use, but you're going to have very limited functionality on that. Some of them can cost up to $150 or more a month, depending on the technology that's included. A lot of IMOs and groups have those available, and there's a lot of companies out there that you can get them on the side that you can just have your own to operate through. Another thing that you would want to use,
and also, I'm sorry, a lot of CRMs have dialing functionality.
Yeah,
some have them built in through their IMO. Some of them you may have to purchase something in addition, and those are like we're looking at moving from the basic costs to. That would be like a next level cost.
Yeah, so being able to market and retarget some of your leads, to be able to have automatic dialers or double to click, quick click to dials, different text message options, a lot of different things that are available. One would be an underwriting tool. I know a lot of people use insurance toolkits would be one. For the telesale side, to be able to quote and select the carriers you want inside of that and to get some underwriting suggestions. When you're looking at different health impairments with your client, that's generally going to run you probably around $40 a month.
Yes.
On the high end, I think some groups out there can offer different discounts available for that. And this may sound stupid, simple, but a desk and a computer, like this probably doesn't need to be, somebody's old used computer that's like barely functioning.
It's funny when I think about it because you have different people on different spectrums. And there's somebody who hears that and they're like, oh, I need a desk. And they're going to grab like a cardboard box and then put their computer on it. And we're like, no, you probably should do better. And then there's the other person who's like, okay, I need to spend 6 months to figure out which desk, the perfect desk that's going to meet my needs. And they keep putting this off because they don't have a desk.
Or they're not aware of their startup costs thus far, and they go out and spend $2,000 or spend majority of their money on a desk to get rolling, and they don't have money to invest in their business or their leads.
Yeah. So you got to pay attention.
Yes. So a desk, you could be simple with that. It could be $300 and up, really. A desk and a laptop to run your CRM, to organize your business, check your emails, because you have to do e-apps and electronic signatures at some times.
I will say it's going to be very difficult to run your business with a tablet. So you need a laptop. You're going to need something, a desktop, laptop. And I don't know. I haven't used Microsoft Surface well enough to know if that is something that you could use. Visibility for your screens is huge. So being able to see clearly is a big deal.
And this next one is the one that you added to the list. And I think it's because you like to play 2K and Call of Duty throughout your breaks, but a headset.
That's right.
But a headset, if you are being really efficient and you're calling a large number of leads, really you don't want to be like, going to Easter and one of your arms is skinny, the other one looks like Popeye because you always hold the phone with your right arm.
Or just using speakerphone off your phone. It can sound jankety. It doesn't sound as professional or clean. Yes, a headset makes a big difference.
Exactly. And a huge one. This is one that if you didn't listen to any of the ones we've talked about yet, this is a huge one for telesales. You need to get non-resident licensed in 10 to 15 states is what we'd recommend.
Yes.
And this is sheerly because telesales, a couple of reasons. The sheer number of lead flow and lead generation speed all resides around how many states are we available to generate leads in. You're able to work in and sell in. But another thing is, depending on where you live, Chris, if you're in the East Coast and even if you're starting this part-time, or let's say that you're getting rolling and you have a goal that you have to reach, or you have kids or different distractions throughout the day, you can call all the way up through midnight. You can call the West Coast. They're 3 hours behind.
Correct.
Right? Mm-hmm. So being able to have non-resident licensed and I will warn you, most of them are pretty reasonable. They're usually around $50, $80 is, I would say, the average. Every now and then, I think Illinois is like $350. Some of them can get up there, but you definitely want to have a good number of non-resident licenses.
And as you're doing that, and here's another $9 tip, you don't have to take the test for each one of those non-resident licenses. I get questions about that from new agents.
That's a good point.
You can simply go to an IPR, NIPR, we call it NIPR, and you can apply for different state licenses by the click of a button.
Yeah, and your approval is generally 24 to 48 hours.
Pretty quick.
Yeah.
Correct. And there will be some states that, like Florida, will require fingerprints. But for the most part, it won't be that complicated. It does come through 24 to 36 hours. You're good to go.
Absolutely. The next little category, we'll just touch on it for a second, contracting. Don't be alarmed. You shouldn't have to pay for contracting. There generally is a contracting.
When you say contracting, what do you mean?
Getting appointed with different insurance companies. So whenever you're paired up with an IMO, an insurance marketing organization, they are generally the ones that are holding the contract with the insurance company. And if they use some sort of advanced contracting system to make it easier for you, it does have a cost, but generally the IMO bears that cost. So you shouldn't have to pay any fees for contracting. If you do, you just may want to ask questions to clarify on that, but you should be good there. This next is probably the most important expense of getting started. Mm-hmm. And you really have to plan for it. This next category is leads, Chris.
Yes. Yep. And there's leads for face-to-face. There's leads for telesales. But whenever we have this conversation of leads, I have the same conversation with agents every day, is when we talk about leads, we're talking about time and money.
Yes.
And if you don't have money, then you have time. You should. You should have time. And that means you have to grind to get the money, to get more qualified leads, to get the time. Like, that's what you're looking for.
So basically you're saying the higher quality, higher intent leads that you buy are going to cost a higher price tag.
Correct.
If you're paying a higher price tag, you need less volume of leads, and you're probably closing a lot more, making a good amount of money.
Right.
Now, you can make the same amount of money on the flip side of that, but you're going to be spending less per lead, but you need to buy a ton more, but you also need to work your tail off.
Correct. So if you are someone who's listening to this and you don't feel like you have a lot of resources, and maybe this isn't for you, that may not necessarily be true.
Yeah.
Because there should be opportunity here. It's if you're willing to work for it. That's the most important part of this. The cost on this conversation at this point is time, and building some calluses, and getting the no's to get to the yeses. And of course, we probably aren't going to get onto the higher end of this right now because we're talking about the launch and start. So we are going to talk about the lower cost to middle cost leads.
Yeah.
In this conversation because we're short on time.
Yep. I want to give you guys some realistic expectations. And one is face-to-face leads, okay? So these are leads you're going belly to belly, you're going to see their door, you're calling to set appointment to go sit with them, or you're literally just going to knock on the door. There are some discounted leads available that you can get. Sometimes you can get them through your IMO. They could be some sort of second chance leads, B leads, age leads, or previously worked leads. They're probably going to range you somewhere in the neighborhood of, I would just average $5. But here's one thing I want you guys to focus on. You've invested and started in this business, and it's going to be very important for you guys to understand that leads is an investment and not an expense. And what I mean by that is you got to understand that with you being brand new and this is your first month in the business, you need to last at least a month. So you need to know that you have a lead budget at least taken out 4 to 5 weeks from now, already set aside in your pocket, ready to go and invest because you need time to fail. You need time to fall on your face. You need time to learn how to do it. You need to be willing that if you go out in your first week and you invest in leads and you don't sell one thing, that you're going out that very next week with a whole nother week's worth of lead investment and you're hitting it because a lot of agents typically fail or struggle, Chris, when they go through all this startup phase. They have 1 week's worth of leads, and it's do or die in that 1 week.
Right. And
if they barely survive, next week's do or die. There may be 2 weeks from being jobless.
Yeah.
And you can't really have that. So
correct.
When you're starting, you need to understand that you need time to figure it out. And what we recommend, if you are doing those discounted leads, is about $1,000. And that's if you're going to do that every week. And that should take you for a month on the very low end.
Correct.
When it comes to direct mail leads, you're typically doing lead drops in order to get rolling and to really have volume to, again, mess up successful, figure it out, and be successful. You're going to need to budget about $1,000 a week. So you're looking at about $4,000 that you need to be willing to go ahead and invest in. If you were looking on the face-to-face digital side, you're probably looking at about $2,500 a month. That you need that money now, okay, to know no matter what happens in week 1, week 2, I'm still buying weeds in week 3 and week 4.
Right. So, and did we say about 1,400 to 2,500? Is that right? You're talking on the digital. Was that
this
still
was the face-to-face?
Face-to-face.
Face-to-face.
Okay, correct. Yes.
Yes.
Sorry about that. Yeah.
And then on the telesale side, Chris, we have. If you're looking at and this is where your range comes into play. It's different as far as the telesale side, and we had a discussion about this.
Let me explain a little bit because on the telesale side, you really do have more of an opportunity to have a part-time chance here.
Yes,
you do on the face-to-face, but if you're working a full-time job and you're getting out at 5:00. You really only have 3.5 hours of being able to get in front of people. Then you have, the weekends maybe. Mm-hmm. It's more of a challenge to do that full time at a face to face level. When you're doing telesales, that 3.5 hours you can gain a lot of mileage by dialing a lot of numbers, mm-hmm. and then on the weekends you really can crank. So what we were looking at on this part time issue is you can get away with maybe having 2 weeks worth of leads that could extend for the full month because of dialing and contact ratios, like being able to connect with somebody and have a conversation with them, but you have to dial a lot.
Absolutely. And so you said there is going to be about 1,500 to 25 on the cheapest way of getting rolling on telesales.
Correct.
Average, you're really looking on if you're getting some sort of fresh digital leads in the telesales.
We would call those like a callback lead.
Where
they filled out a form and then it came to you.
Yeah.
Yes.
something that's going to be exclusive for you, that hasn't been worked by everybody and every listener that's listening to this podcast, basically. But you're going to be expecting to spend about $2,500 to $3,500 for that first month to get you rolling on that telesales, and I believe that's averaging. We're really looking at about 100 leads a week is what you're looking at to have volume to actually be successful and figure it out and gain that rhythm and momentum. So the leads really range as far as what we're looking at there. But one thing I do want to note that if you are getting started, you all have the ability to work your warm market, friends, family, people at church. It could be neighbors, social media, letting people know what you're doing and how you might be able to help.
Senior centers and do presentations.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So there's so many different referral partner opportunities out there that you're able to invest in and then use the proceeds or the revenue from that to invest into an ongoing lead program to now you're doing both.
Yes. And Zach, I think, you had mentioned this, regardless of what you're doing, you have a cost to live.
Yes.
You have to take care of that. In your cost to live, you may have debts, and this is an important thing as well. You may have debts. You need to keep paying your debts as you are currently paying your debts, because the thing that's different about the way cash flow works here is you get a couple policies, you may have more money in a month than you've had in a long time deposited at once. And some people are like, okay, I'm going to get that monkey off my back, and then they don't have any money for leads now. So if you're starting and you have a lower budget, your goal is to work until you have enough money to get a more qualified lead and then have a consistent lead order. So you have to pay for your living expenses. And on top of that, you have to build your lead inventory. You have to build your lead quality as well through that, because at some point you may be able to afford a call transfer, which may cost $40 to $60. You may be able to afford a high quality mortgage protection Facebook lead, which could be $40 to $60 again. But the agents who are producing at high volumes are purchasing leads, those types of leads. Then later on, they're able to hire a dialer and somebody's making the calls for them and they're just taking the appointments. But it starts somewhere. In the first place it starts is, for you, no shame in the game, knocking on a door. Maybe that's where it starts for you, or getting 200 leads and starting to make phone calls.
Yeah, and one thing as we wrap up here, I really hope this podcast was helpful to everybody. And we really want to set the groundwork and the expectations when we're bringing on a new agent to the industry or teaching them about that. We want them to be successful, profitable, but we want them to know what's coming next.
Yeah.
So just to kind of a quick recap, when we're going through pre-licensing, getting your pre-licensing course, your state test, everything up to getting licensed as a licensed agent in your state, you're probably looking in the neighborhood of around $350. Okay. To starting your business, which is the next stage, preparing everything you need to be able to actually go out and make money, you're probably looking at another, it could be $300, $400, $500 there, right? So really everything here, up until the leads portion, we're really looking at somewhere in the neighborhood of could be $700 until we're investing in leads.
Yep.
Now, again, this is not including, depending on what lead route you go with, face-to-face or telesales, you can expect, and you should have this money set aside before, because you can't roll into this opportunity without having any money, as we discussed. This lead money set aside beforehand, all said and done, Chris, not counting your savings account, not counting the money you have to pay your bills for you to start a brand new business, because that's what you're doing. You need to be able to have a little breathing room on your bills. On the very low end to get started, you're probably looking in the neighborhood of around $1,600.
Yeah.
And it really can go as high as you want, as prepared as you want. But if you're getting, I would say, a reasonable, you can easily go $5,000. And that's getting a true direct mail exclusive lead rolling for you multiple weeks in a row. of very highly convertible leads with obviously getting your branded polos, your lanyard badge, your license fees, your non-resident license, everything you need to be successful. That's what you can get. You should be getting rolling about $4,000 to $5,000, but you can get rolling on a shoestring budget.
Yep, absolutely. And that's our goal, was to be able to share with you the real true costs at getting started. Again, some resources that may help you. Excel Solutions, you can go to their website. You can Google Excel Solutions. Hey, do we have a link for that on the website? Yes, we do. We do have a link on at lifeinsuranceacademy.org towards Excel Solutions, and this will allow you to get the pre-licensing training course for half off. Boom. We're saving you $100 right from the start. And again, I would take the life and health at the same time. There's no additional cost for that. Why not, right? The next piece of information in regards to that is we do have resources for you for underwriting and presentations. You can find it at lifeinsuranceacademy.org. And here's a little hint. Leads are coming to lifeinsuranceacademy.org. Those will be coming soon. So we have some of that for you guys. We want to give you a little taste. But thank you guys for listening, and we cannot wait to catch up with you on the next Life Insurance Academy podcast. See you then.